Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, Rigathi Gachagua is set to talk to the nation in another televised interview. That is today, the 27th April 2024. Now, the same day, there is a story that is emerging that there is a deliberate attempt by Uhuru's camp to lock out Rigathi Gachagua from the secret talks between Kalonzo and Matiangi. This is something I personally suspected was going to happen. But now, based on what is happening, it is believed that Uhuru has some intentions of locking out Rigathi Gachagua. Remember, this is coming at a time whereby earlier this week, Rigathi Gachagua mentioned that he had spoken with Matiangi and expressed a desire to work with him. He also hinted at a meeting with Kalonzo and Wamalwa, but remained very scanty in the details about the meeting between him and Matiangi. So again, what followed is that there was already a circular that Rigathi was going to speak to the nation on the 27th April 2025. And I think the details are about that new party that is going to launch and that meeting between him and Matiangi. I have seen people commenting that there is no evidence that Matiangi met Rigathi, but Rigathi has talked about a meeting between the two. So in this analysis, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to explore the possible reasons why Uhuru could be locking out Rigathi Gachagua in this high-stakes meeting, in this meeting between him, Kalonzo, and Matiangi. What is the reason behind it? Now, before we go further on this, kindly like this video, subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed before, and to our existing subscribers, I want to continue thanking you so much, because without you, this channel won't have grown. One of the possible reasons why I think Uhuru could have made that move of sidelining Rigathi Gachagua is because of the supremacy battle in Mount Kenya. If you go back to the history, we all know that Rigathi Gachagua was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's aide. He was his PA. But then they fell out. The history is out there. So, right now, Rigathi wants to control the whole mountain. Uhuru also wants to continue being the kingpin. The people are slowly going Rigathi Gachagua's way. And that explains why Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta opted to go and solidify the votes of the Kisii region, with the main intention of getting a block from that place for Matiangi. Now, if Uhuru is locking out Rigathi Gachagua from their talks, that could be true. Why? Because there is no way Uhuru and Rigathi Gachagua are going to be on the same formation. I think that is what is disturbing Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, considering the previous attacks of Rigathi on the family of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. That explains why maybe Uhuru wants to lock out Rigathi Gachagua, or he is already locking out Rigathi Gachagua from their talks. You all remember how Gachagua fell out with Uhuru ahead of the 2022 elections. That history is the main reason why Rigathi now faces an uncertain political future. And it's not clear whether Kalonzo is going to continue listening to Rigathi or Kalonzo is going to continue listening to Uhuru, because there's the issue of finance aspect here. Financing a campaign. To finance a campaign requires enormous finances. That kind of finance muscle needed to campaign is one thing that, of course, Kalonzo Musyoka needs. Now, Kalonzo, of course, wants to become the president, but I think someone else will finance this presidency with an intention of benefiting when he becomes the president. So this is the person in Uhuru Kenyatta. So Uhuru wants to invest in Kalonzo. But Uhuru knows that if Rigathi Gachagua also is part of the team, Rigathi might claim that he and I may invest in Kalonzo by giving Kalonzo Musyoka blocks. And he will want to control that formation if at all Kalonzo Musyoka wins the election, because he can win the election, we can't dispute that. But Matiangi also wants to win the election. So the fact that Kalonzo, Uhuru, and Gachagua are meeting separately, and Rigathi Gachagua is not in the talks, is not on the table. The idea here is that he is not on the table. This is going to cause some problems to Kalonzo, I suspect, because we can't deny the fact that right now, Rigathi Gachagua, whichever way he has used to convince the people in the mountain, majority of them now listen to Rigathi Gachagua. Because of course, again, the same people in Mount Kenya will not want to listen to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta because of the information that is already out there in the public domain. There are people who will still listen to Uhuru. There are people who will not listen to Uhuru. But that is because of Rigathi Gachagua's previous statement. One of the reasons, again, which I think Rigathi Gachagua could be, maybe there is already deliberate plan to lock him out, is because of the attacks on Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's, or rather Kenyatta's farm. You remember the farm, the torching of that farm, the stealing of the ships. That history is still, of course, bothering Uhuru. And Uhuru knows very well that for him to continue becoming the kingpin of Mount Kenya, which is already a big challenge to him, he must ignore Rigathi Gachagua. So Rigathi Gachagua has been locked out because of the Supremacy war in Mount Kenya. So one of the reasons why, again, Uhuru could be locking out Rigathi Gachagua is because he knows that Rigathi Gachagua cannot contest the impeachment. The Constitution locks out Rigathi Gachagua for 10 years from, any appointed position. He can't for 10 years. So if at all the courts do not help Rigathi Gachagua here, Uhuru is going to bank on the fact that Rigathi cannot. So Uhuru knows that 10 years is enough to maybe deal with the issue of Rigathi's influence. But Rigathi has nothing to lose now. His main focus is on how to unseat William Ruto from power. So that explains why Uhuru figures that the best thing to do is to have some secret talks between Kalonzo and Matiangi on a possible merger. So again, this possible merger is again another problem, because there is no way Jubilee is going to produce a president. That is one thing that the people in Gusii, in the Gusii land, hawataki kusikia pia. Wanataka kama Matiangi ndiye asimame. But Matiangi hatasimama. If you look at this matter carefully, the main intention si ati Matiangi asimame. The main intention ni kwamba Matiangi achukue the whole of Kisii votes, zisiende kwa ODM. Hizo Kisii votes zote ziende kwa Matiangi, alafu Matiangi zichukua ziingize kwa Kalonzo. That is the plan, ladies and gentlemen. The plan is not just to have Matiangi on the ballot as a presidential candidate. No. The plan is Matiangi asolidifies zile votes za Kisii awe spokesperson, alafu achanganye na kura za Kalonzo, alafu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, because Rigathi had already apologized and said that Uhuru Kenyatta ni msafi kama pamba, there are people in Mount Kenya who will listen to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So those votes will go to Kalonzo Musyoka. So even if Rigathi walks out, Rigathi will walk out and team with who? You see, that's another challenge. Whom will Rigathi Gachagua team with? So that's why Uhuru is banking on the fact that Rigathi has nowhere to run to. He will just come home to the formation that Uhuru, Matiangi, and Kalonzo are forming. That, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you think about this sudden information that Gachagua has been locked out from these talks? For those of you who followed what happened on the 25th, there was developments that there was a public event where Kalonzo Musyoka was seen attending a mass at the Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi, alongside Uhuru Kenyatta, Chief Justice Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, and former Defense Minister Eugene Wamalwa. And that meeting stirred speculation about a new political alliance. You see, in that meeting, Rigathi Gachagua was nowhere to be seen. So this explains why there is this growing feeling, this growing feeling that there is a plan to lock out Rigathi Gachagua from the high table talks. But that will be a big mistake if they attempt to lock out Gachagua. It's going to cause some political tension in the opposition, and we've already seen what that has done to Ruto. It has subjected Ruto to a lot of campaigns, the pressure from Rigathi. So if this is actualized, if Uhuru actualizes this idea of locking out Gachagua, it's going to be catastrophic politically to Kalonzo Musyoka. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Till we catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.